would like to welcome all of you to the proceedings of the Grand Rapids Public School Board of Education. I would ask that you please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Ross, will you please call the roll?
Dr. Baker.
Here.
Ms. Slade.
Here.
Mr. Ross. Here. Dr. Randalls.
Present.
Mr. O'Connor.
Present.
Pastor Moody.
Present.
Reverend Matias.
Aquí.
Mr. LeGrand.
Yes.
All present. Oh, President Favre, excuse me.
Present. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Support for that?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next on the agenda are our celebrations.
Dr. Favre, members of the board, I would like to ask Ron Gorman, something is wrong with my mic. Sam?
No, it's working. It's working.
There's an echo somewhere.
Oh, I see. I don't know that.
So Sam or someone, if you can do something with this mic. I have to hear it echo. Ron Gorman, if you will come up, thank you very much. Sensitive ear and I can hear it.
Oh, you don't like that?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Superintendent Neal, President Favre, members of the board. This evening, we have a wonderful celebration from the Odyssey of the Mind team at City High Middle. I would like to bring up front at this time Principal Michael Pasco and the coaches from the Odyssey of the Mind team, Cindy Koning and Melissa Budzinski. I think I pronounced that correctly after a little bit of practice this evening. So I'm going to let Mr. Pasco take my seat this evening, and we're going to acknowledge the students and share a little bit about this wonderful experiences the students have been having. Mr. Pasco. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman. Superintendent Neal, President Favre, board members, student representatives, we're here. Today we're recognizing the Odyssey of the Mind accomplishments at City. We had 4 teams this year compete at the regional competitions. We had 2 to go on to state, and for the first ever time at City, we have a team competing at the world competition, and of all places in Ames, Iowa.
Really?
Well, we'll take it, right?
That's right. Very nice.
Before I hand it over to Cindy and Melissa, I do want to recognize we have some students as well as 2 other coaches. We have Paula Lancaster and Sarah Lowen. They're both City parents. They take a lot of time out of their schedules, practice almost every day after school. They were also at the state competition. So if any students that aren't on the final team and coaches with Paula and Sarah, can you please stand, because you guys worked your butts off too. All right. Having said that, I'm going to not steal any more of your thunder. So Cindy and Melissa, I hand it off to you guys and publicly thank you for all your efforts, and particularly Cindy for bringing the OM to City, was an instrumental player. She's like the varsity in the JV, right? But this means a lot for City because we had 4 middle school teams. It's called Division II, which only means for the next so many years we're going to end up having middle school and high school, and we're going to be able to really compete with the other schools like Rockford and Forest Hills who have a pretty instrumental program. So Cindy and Melissa.
Great.
Great. Superintendent Neal and members of the board, thanks for having us. We're just elated to be able to celebrate with you guys. Just a little bit of background. This is the 2nd year at City Middle, and growing into 4 teams, and hope to be even bigger next year. For folks who don't know what Odyssey of the Mind is, I can't possibly tell you. It is, in the quickest, shortest version, a creative problem-solving competition. So children select from a list of 5 problems, and they have to create an 8-minute solution that involves a skit. It involves mechanical devices. It involves building a set and building costumes, and the learning and rewriting and performing. And then there's also, and that's 75% of their score, and then 25% is a spontaneous problem, which they receive at the competition, so they have no idea what they're going to get until they get into the room. In fact, coaches aren't allowed in with them. Teams are 5 to 7 people 5 to 7 students. Their skit is 8 minutes long when they perform. I'd like to say it's 150 hours of work to get to 8 minutes of performance. And the other big rule is that there's no outside assistance. That means they can't take any ideas from their coaches. We can't tell them what to do. We have to duct tape our mouths sometimes, but every idea has to come from them. So I'm also going to use my 5 minutes to let them speak. But we are super excited. As I understand it from the Odyssey of the Mind officials, we are the first team in GRPS ever to go to the world competition.
Wow.
Gives me shivers just to say it. And there will be over 900 teams competing there from at least 11 different countries. We're going to take the opportunity to buddy with a team from Japan and get to know them and tell them about our great place here in Grand Rapids. So with that, I'm going to have the kids stand up, say your name. And what we do all of this for, it's fun. It's fun to compete. It's fun to practice. These kids enjoy each other's company, but it's really about what they're learning. And what they learn, the biggest thing they learn is how to work in a group. So when we're doing schoolwork, we may have a group project, but there's a long-term solution in which they have to wrestle with writing, rewriting, people editing their stuff, people resolving conflicts when you think one way is better than another way. It's all about the teamwork and what they learn. I always say to my kids, every place you go, you're going to have people like this on your team. People who bug you, you're going to run into these same problems in every job you go to. You guys have to work together as a board. You've got to figure out your differences. You've got to come up with an ultimate solution and not let those things that stand in your way stop you. And that's what these kids have learned. So if you can each just say your name and one thing that you've learned from Odyssey of the Mind. And please stand when you do it. You can just stand in your place. Okay. Sorry. Oh, sorry. It'll take too long if they all have to just...
My name is Brett Fatima, and we've learned to work together as a team and create solutions that would be better than they would be if we were individually working.
Good job.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Anne, and OM has allowed me to think on my feet and improvise really well in tough situations that are full of stress and suspense.
I'm Morgan Hollemans, and for me, Odyssey of the Mind, like Cindy said, definitely taught me how to work with different types of people because there are going to be all sorts of different types of people in the real world, and it's hard to work with some of them.
Awesome.
My name is Olivia Moran, and I've learned how to express creativity into my own life and think outside of the box.
I'm Matthew Niles, and I've learned that the first idea or solution to a problem, no matter how good it may sound, is not always the best solution, so you should explore all of the ideas.
My name is Liam Wilkowski, and I've learned that there will always be an answer, but it's your job to try to make that answer the best answer.
I'm Ellie Lancaster, and the most important thing that I've learned is that there's always an answer to any problem, and it may not be your first answer or even your fifth answer, but you'll come up with it, and it'll just be great.
Very nice.
With that said, I will...
Very impressive.
The kids have to raise, it's going to cost us about $10,000 in room and lodging and transportation and whatnot. The PTSA has been a very generous supporter, as well as Principal Pasco. And the kids are busy doing a pop can drive. They did a performance for friends and families. They've already raised $5,200 out of their $10,000 and have some pledges as well. So they're this is adds a whole new dimension to the planning process. So it's been fun. Thank you
guys.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Proud, he was proud.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you very much.
All right. So, congratulations. Keep up the good work, guys.
Congratulations. Hi, Matthew. Congratulations. What did you do?
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Oh,
Great job.
great job.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Great job.
That's right, that's right, that's right. Come and see me, good job.
This is great.
It's great.
So I asked them to start with that. She's only $4,400 short.
Yes, that's great.
Right. Awesome.
Next on our agenda, we have a report from our student representative, Mr. Jones. Do you have anything to share with the board today?
Not today.
Right, thank you. Thank you for being here. Next is public comment for board agenda items. Mr. Ross, do we have any cards?
There are none, not for agenda items.
Thank you. Next is the secretary's report. Mr. Ross?
Just a few things to share with my colleagues, a few events coming up. Mindshare is coming up, but that's obviously the annual Student Advancement Foundation event. It'll be on Tuesday, April 22nd, which is, I guess, tomorrow. Well, excuse me, it is really coming up. Anyway, you're all familiar, but it does showcase the talents of GRPS students and announces the Student Advancement Foundation's newest endeavors to remove barriers to student success. And also, we have the Collaborative Youth Fair coming up this coming Saturday, which is a showcase of skills and accomplishments of students in the Loop and Loft after-school programs. This year's theme is Loop Prize, the Art of Diversity, and it's at City Middle High School this Saturday, 9:30 to 1:30. And then last but definitely not least, a ribbon cutting event to commemorate the new MLK Fitness Path at MLK Leadership Academy. They're going to have a ribbon cutting on Thursday, May 8th at 2 p.m. On the playground. Students will be honored that participated in the 5K, Fifth Third Riverbank Run, and those who made donations to make this fitness path possible. So in the event of rain, though, there will be a celebration still in the gym, and that's on May 8th at 2 p.m. at MLK School.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Next on the agenda is superintendent's report.
I don't see Rick No, so we're going to do something that we normally don't do, and I am going to ask Anna Alleman to come down. Anna is going to share information about a program, and Rick is, come on down, sweetheart. The Mars Hills Mentorship Program. And Anna, if you would like one of the cabinet members to come and sit with you, you can.
I'm good, thank you.
You can handle that. You can handle that. That's
I got it. Thank you, guys. Good evening. I want to begin with a story. It's a story about a little boy named, well, I'm going to leave it there, a little boy, and he's a first grader at Burton Elementary. And last year, he's a wonderful little boy, really smart, really creative, really quirky, but a little bit lost and a little bit lonely and very mischievous. He and I spent a lot of time together. So, you know, I went to talk to Laura about this little guy, and I had a person who I thought would be a perfect mentor for him. And so he came and he talked to Laura and Sharon and Carolyn, and so he became a mentor to this little guy. So from last year to this year, his behavior, his confidence, the way that he's grown has been tremendous. I have not seen him, well, I take it back, I saw him once. He went out to lunch for good behavior. Awesome. So he just turned it around, and you know, he was going through a lot of things personally, and he's, you know, they're 5 and 6 years old when they're in first grade and don't know how to talk about how they feel, so it manifests itself in their behavior. But I'm so happy and so proud to be able to say that Mars Hills Mentor Program really turned it around for him. This year he's in second grade now and has had a wonderful relationship with his mentor and is doing super in school and just on his game. And that's all thanks to Laura and her team and the wonderful work they do. So I'm going to turn it over to Laura Ward, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the Mars Hill Mentorship Program at Burton Elementary.
Well, thank you, Anna. I always get goosebumps when I hear the kids' stories. I never tire of it. My name is Laura Ward, and I'm the program director for the Mars Hill Mentorship Program based at Burton Elementary. And just this year, we added on Burton Middle School as well. So I wanted to share with you just a little bit about who we are and what we do. We have been partnering, I apologize, it's difficult for you guys to see. We've been partnering with Burton Elementary since 2002. We, since that time, have matched over 1,300 students with mentors from the community. So when you add that all up, when they meet for an hour a week for all of those years, the matches together have spent a total of 42,000 hours invested in those children's lives. And as the story that Anna just shared shows you, we see small changes that turn into big changes over time. So what do? We mentor students for 1 hour a week. We match one mentor with one student, and they follow them for the school year. Many will continue for multiple years, and they meet in the space that you see in these pictures here. We call it the Mentor Center. We are so grateful to the school and to the school board for allowing us to use space within the building. This is really the hub and home for the students and the mentors, so that they really feel welcome in the school building. During their time, they do anything from reading to working on homework, math facts, sitting and talking, playing games, and the goal is to improve self-esteem, improve social skills, and of course academic skills as well. This year we have 130 matches. And as I mentioned before, we're piloting a program with Burton Middle School following the 5th grade students from last year as they've transitioned into 6th grade. And so we have 14 students part of that pilot program. We've been learning a whole lot about how life changes as they transition into middle school. Some has been really great, some has been really challenging, but we're very, very grateful to be able to continue to journey with those students. And we're hoping to be able to add on another class of 6th grade students, as well as following the current cohort of students into 7th grade next year. I won't share another story with you for the matter of time, but this is just a match that has had a really great success too. I won't tell you the whole story, but I will tell you that this young lady, when they first were matched, was having a really hard time accepting the fact that somebody would like her just as she was. And so for the first couple of meetings was telling crazy stories. She'd walk down the hallway and see a painting that somebody had done and said that she had done it. And she would see something on TV and say that she had come up with that. And the mentor was getting really frustrated, like, what's up with this? It's driving me crazy. She's telling me all these stories, and confronted her student about it. And the student said, well, you know, I just was afraid you wouldn't like me. And so they had a chat about how I'm going to like you, for who you are. And since then, it's not been an issue. So she's also making significant gains in reading as well. Another big part of what we do is partnering with the school, the parents, and the community in multiple different ways. Our work is not just that 1 hour a week between one mentor and one student, or 130 mentors and 130 students. We want to be a support to the whole school, to the whole community. And so here are some pictures of ways that we do that. Mars Hill has brought in volunteers and partnered with the Y and the school and some other entities to do the garden, which is in the courtyard there in the middle picture. We have a fall family dinner every fall and invite the mentors and their families, the students and their families, to get to know each other. We share a meal together. We do the Bundle Up Burton coat drive in the fall as well. The Mars Hill community has recruited donations of coats, hats, and mittens for the last number of years and provided one to every elementary student. And then we like to provide meals for the teachers on their long days, especially like during conferences when they're there for a really long time, during Teacher Appreciation Week, that sort of thing. And the two pictures on the right are pictures of parents. The bottom right is a parent and a mentor sitting and talking together at the spring picnic. And the idea is to build relationships at all those different levels and to continue to be a support through sort of the social pieces, but then also providing tangible support for the school and the community. So thank you all very much for your support of our program. We would not be here without that, and we are so, so grateful to have the opportunity and look forward to continuing the conversation about where we might continue to expand. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Wow.
Mr. Helmholtz.
Good evening, Madam President, Madam Superintendent, members of the board. I'm here to give just a quick legislative update. We have a couple things. Obviously, as we're still in the budget season, and there hasn't, not a lot has changed since we last reported. We now know the House, the Senate, and the executive versions of the bills. The House Appropriations Committee has already voted out their piece, and they're moving rather quickly in the House. The Senate is reconvening next week. we anticipate we'll see some similar action. Basically, the House and the Senate are going to do their thing, going back and eventually trade. That right now, this is all being done in advance of the May 16th Revenue Estimating Conference. We have a lot riding on that Revenue Estimating Conference because part of what we've been advocating for the per pupil increase and maintaining the categoricals will require that those dollars are there. As I said to you before, when the governor introduced his proposal, we were looking at $111 per pupil increase. The Senate version is around $115 per pupil. Our categoricals are by and large held intact. The main differences come down to the best practices dollars. So you might recall we've been eligible for best practices. Well, the House version is somewhat alarming. They've basically eliminated half of those existing best practices, ones that we already qualify for, and replaced it with 3 new ones. One of which is that the district would be providing merit pay, that we would be implementing the comprehensive guidelines for counseling, which would be a substantial potential cost to the district to adhere strictly to, and that we're complying with the prohibited subjects of para. That is when Representative Rogers' K-12 budget that's moved. We are already kind of explaining how and why we were not comfortable with that. Our main argument has been that in conjunction with the West Michigan Talent Triangle, that they take all the best practices and the performance funding and just roll it all into the per pupil foundation allowance. That would be the most fair, the most equitable, and ensure that the increased dollars in the state aid, almost $1 billion, would actually be going right back into the classrooms and spread equally fairly to all districts, not just those who may, have best practices or are performing on higher levels on standardized one-size-fits-all tests. So stay tuned on the budget. We do have our Capital Day coming up, so obviously that'll be part of our conversation. Will be a lot around the budget, and I know that there's more coming before finance and eventually before you all. But we'll keep you posted. We're still cautiously optimistic about this budget. It's still better than budgets we've seen in years past. The MIPSR, the Senate version, even though it's an increase up to $115 per pupil, we do not get the same benefit from the MIPSR. That's the state retirement offset payment. They eliminated the MIPSR offset and put it all into the foundation allowance, which as a result would in fact increase the per pupil funding we'd receive, but charter schools would see a substantial increase across the board because in previous years they were not eligible for those MIPSR offsets. Only schools that are paying into the retirement system were benefiting from that investment in the K-12. Well, we would no longer enjoy that benefit, and instead that benefit would go to all schools, including us, but the charters would see the greater end of that benefit. So that's the update on the budget. Number 2, Smarter Balance. This is the new state assessment that is still in flux. In fact, we have some new confusion that's being created and mixed signals that are being sent. The state superintendent recently announced that the MDE is going with Smarter Balance next school year. And so we've kind of been anticipating this, we've been planning this, we are expecting that transition would likely come. We have signed a letter of support for Smarter Balance, which I'll talk about more in just a second. But the House appropriations just passed an amendment to their budget that would delay the implementation of Smarter Balance for another year and continue MEAP implementation for a year. So we are now at least in flux from what is the legislature going to do? Is the Senate going to follow suit? What would that mean with implementation, and how soon would they get that implementation done? So this has been another one of those kind of ongoing kind of moving targets that we're continuing to monitor. Of course, we're still, right now, Smarter Balance is what's expected. We did co-sign with a coalition of education and business associations, including the school administrators, the school board association, elementary principals, chambers of commerce, business leaders of Michigan, and that was a letter of support for implementing Smarter Balance, with one caveat, that for the 11th grade, we would not want to see two separate tests administered. They've indicated they would keep the ACT as a form of college readiness and also college admissions, but then in addition, they were proposing to also do the Smarter test. So instead of one test, we'd have two tests. We're saying no, do a Smarter Balance Plus. And so do Smarter Balance, but keep ACT at the 11th grade. Third thing, EAA, that, as you recall, that has morphed over time. It has passed the House. It is now in the Senate. Senator Richard Vill, who's the Senate Majority Leader, is said he will bring it up for a vote as early as this week, and is saying an up or down, no amendments, and so we'll see whether or not the votes are there. This could be another tight one on votes. The last part was just a reminder, Jamie Vollmer is going to be coming. This is part of our partnership with the foundations, Doug and Maria DeVos Foundation, the Talent Triangle, Talent 2025, the ISD, and other groups where we've been doing these speaker series. We had Ferguson, the early childhood advocate. Now we have Jamie Vollmer, who is a former advocate, former CEO of an ice cream company in Iowa, of all things, but also the head of the Iowa Education Business Roundtable. He has a book called Schools Can't Do It Alone. We'll be here May 2nd, 7:30 a.m. until 9 a.m. We had such an overwhelming response. It was going to be at the ISD, and they only held about 100 spots. We have 200 people that were on their waiting list, so we've agreed to move it to GRPS University, and that's where it will be. And so those who were maybe on the waiting list should have received notice that they are now accepted into this, and it's pretty exciting. So
he's an excellent speaker also. He really is good.
Questions for Mr. Hemholt? I have a question. The MIPSER's part, that's part of the House proposal?
Yeah, and the MIPSER, the House is similar to the governor's, where it basically maintained, which is for our best benefit. The Senate is where they eliminated this MIPSER offset. There's two forms of the MIPSER, and the offset is the one that the Senate eliminates and puts into the foundation allowance.
That was my question.
Did I answer that right? Doesn't look back at the money guy.
What's causing the holdup with the Smarter Balance?
You know, it's hard to say. This is one that seemed to have had a fair amount of support and was trending down that Smarter Balance. I think it got caught up in the Common Core, and kind of those anti-Common Core are also looking at this. This is some plot or scheme or something like that. Part of it is also that you have the Michigan secondary school principals are very strongly in support of the ACT. And so this isn't just kind of the anti-Common Core types. You actually have groups of educators who are just not on the same page about it. They have different experience, different belief systems, and different uses of those tests. Smarter Balance is claiming that they have their own kind of college-ready test that could be the essence of ACT, and that more and more colleges and universities are accepting that. You predominantly have that divergence at the secondary level between the ACT and Smarter Balance. At least that's what I can observe.
Okay.
And there's legitimate arguments on both sides.
Sure. Any further questions? Thank you. Next on the agenda is a report from our Academic Achievement Committee. Dr. Baker?
Well, we discussed Smarter Balance at the Academic Achievement. So, we learned about the advantages, especially in the relationship to moving to spring tests instead of fall tests, so students would be measured for the academic year that they're a part of rather than the previous academic year after the summer. And so we had a discussion of that and what it would mean. We also discussed the issue of what it would mean in relationship to college readiness tests, and we had that, and that was similar. So anyway, so I'm glad that John spoke before I did, because I think we were under the impression from the committee that it was more in place, but evidently it's not at this time. And we discussed some evaluations of LOOP after-school programs, also Schools of Hope, and both of those programs are programs that are benefiting, in a sense, out of school time, even though Schools of Hope, of course, happens during school, but, add-ons to the school day and its positive impacts. Where we're at suspensions, and the committee would encourage, all the board to be aware with, what's happening with suspensions in the district, and as we're still tackling the issues. And I would say another major discussion that's come out of the last few academic achievement meetings has been the instructional council report to the board. Has been very positive, and we have a really great collaborative relationship between the teaching staff and the administrative staff working together, and that's really been a positive thing, and it's becoming a very effective tool in moving things forward in terms of curriculum and discussions, and I think also just a real good teamwork. So, and the committee has been impressed with the reports of late, and I wanted to make sure we acknowledge that. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Baker or the other committee members? Thanks. Report from our Finance Committee. Mr. O'Connor.
There's not a lot to report. We have a meeting next Monday morning at 8:30 here in this auditorium. The finance team, Mr. Oberst, Ms. Cribbs, continue to work on the budget. As Mr. Hemholt alluded to, the numbers are still sort of in flux about where exactly we'll land as it relates to our final allocation from the state. And so they're working to have something done end of May, beginning of June.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. O'Connor? Thank you. There are no action items, so next on the agenda is our consent agenda grouping. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that?
So moved. Support.
Mr. Ross, can you take the vote?
Dr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Slade.
Yes.
Mr. Ross, yes. Dr. Randalls.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Pastor Moody.
Yes.
Reverend Matias.
Yes.
Mr. LeGrand. President Falk.
Yes. It's just
The whole agenda.
I was gonna simply record you as a nay and keep
what
it
that
moving.
you were right. Or all right. Thank you, Mr. Ross. We are at public comment for.
We only have two, Mr. Marcus Bean, and then following Mr. Bean, Ms. Ann Swisher and Mindy Walker. Okay.
Oh, bring it.
And I'm gonna, in regards to the second one, Ms. Swisher and Ms. Walker, gonna ask that these be given to you guys as well. This is Mr. Marcus Bean.
Mr.
Former student of mine, too.
Oh,
Yeah, he's great.
Mr. Bean, would you like a 1 minute warning? You have 3 minutes, or?
I'll be shorter than
Okay.
that.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
President, board members, nice seeing you all this evening. I'm here representing the Foundation for Education, which is our mission is providing educators with a platform to collaborate educationally and to socially connect as well. So essentially, we're in the process of building this platform for teachers to upload data related to the Common Core, and I don't want to make this like a sales pitch, so essentially what I'm doing is here just to inform you of the foundation and what we're attempting to do so that you guys are all aware of where we would like to take it, and so that you are aware that we also plan to move this around the country, hopefully, too. And being from Grand Rapids, it would be great to have our schools be participating in this so that teachers can connect on Skype and webinars and connect, virtually through private chat rooms and all those types of technological tools in a way to collaborate socially and also, collaborate around the Common Core standards and uploading lesson plans. So that is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is Ms. Swisher and Ms. Walker.
Yes.
And Ms. Eipel, if you'd like to make your way to the front row, feel free.
Hello, my name's Ann Swisher, and I work at Transition Center at Bayfield. and I am here to invite you to that piece of paper that it's for Thursday night. It's a short notice, I'm sorry. It's our spring arts celebration, and it's a huge deal for our kids. And I went last year for the first time, and it is so wonderful. And our students are 18 to 26 years of age, and it's a very unique group of kids, and it's wonderful. And I brought Mindy Walker with me, who works at Mercy Health St. Mary's, at their, because it's their satellite buildings. And Mindy's been doing this for a long time, so I thought she would be the perfect person to explain to you why it would be really nice if you could come.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I was listening. There's nothing on your agenda for Thursday evening. I'm just telling you. It is going to be at City High, which is the old Creston. What you need to understand is, if you can possibly put it on your schedule, please do. But please bring Kleenex or a handkerchief, because this is an experience that opens your heart, gives you humility for all the grace that you have in your life, and makes you understand just what courage really is. These 18 to 26-year-old special needs students, the full range, will come out and create dances for you, sing for you, and ring bells for you. We all know what the fine arts does for people with heart attacks and strokes and returning to health. You have no idea what I've experienced over the last 9 years as a former concert dancer, working with these special need dancers. And I do call them dancers because they are. They work very hard. These wonderful folks over here and this wonderful program that they were talking about, we do all of that 1 hour a week. I have 50 in my dance company. There are 70 in the choir. There's over 20 in the bell choir. That's almost everybody in the vocational options program. Everyone is involved. Do they all know that on some level this heals them? It changes them, it empowers them, it gives them validation, and for crying out loud, it allows them to get out there and be applauded for the courage to sing off key, dance out without counts, and ring a bell when they're not supposed to. But they manage it, they get themselves from the beginning to the end, and then, for me, the best part is the reception afterwards. Because as a former performer, I went home alone to a bottle of wine and a hot tub. These kids need the immediate feedback of what you feel when you hear them sing off key or on key, when you see them dance and take care of each other on stage, because I rarely am on stage with them. They have to get from beginning to end on their own. And those folks who have coordination issues, ringing a bell when they're supposed to and holding it when they're not supposed to ring it. These are all amazing accomplishments done 1 hour a week. They put on 2 shows. The one at Christmas, which I wish you could have seen, because that's family, that's really heart. And this one's been going on for 9 years, and hopefully our decade will be next year. And if at all possible, please open your hearts and $5 and come and see what these incredibly talented, dedicated, wonderful special needs students, am I bragging too much? But they really are, because they are the ones that are left behind. They are the ones that aren't in your first consciousness when you're thinking about all your budgeting and stuff. We know. Come and see us. See why we think the work we do is so important. And this is not done by certified teaching staff. I may have been a professional dancer, but I'm just an employment training specialist now. And everyone who created this show, who has dedicated their passion for it, are all child care workers or employment training specialists. So please feel free to buy your tickets, come and see the show, and come afterwards and let the kids shake hands with you, know who you are, and let them know how important their work is to them and to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Can we buy tickets at the door?
You absolutely can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Miss Ipel. Is it correct, Ipel? Or Ipel, excuse me.
Would you like a 1-minute warning, or are you good? Okay, all right. I guess if I go long, then you can holler at me. My name is Marie Ippel, and I have been a Grand Rapids public school parent for 6 years. My older 2 kids are at Kuwait, and my youngest is 3, and he has Down syndrome. And he is at campus right now. And Jeremiah I came to the board meeting a year ago when you guys were talking about the transition and closing 10 of the buildings. And I said, I'm kind of worried that you're closing all the special ed services on the north end of town. And I was told, don't worry, he can go to campus. I said, oh, good, no problem. And we live right by Kuwait School, so that's like my geographical point of reference there. And like the 3rd day of school, he started in January. The 3rd day, his teacher said, he really belongs at Van Auken. And I said, oh dear, that's far away. It's a 25-minute car ride, but with the bus, it's like closer to an hour. I asked the bus driver anyhow, like when she picked him up, I said, how long from our house to Van Auken? And she said, oh, probably an hour. Why are you asking? And I said, well, I think that's where that's where he belongs. That campus, it's, maybe, you do special ed stuff, right? I don't know how to, it's more rudimentary, very basic. And apparently Jeremiah, he's only 29 pounds, he's tiny, he's little, but he's ready for the next step, which I'm really proud of. I'm thankful for all the services that you guys have given that have helped him get to that point. But he's too little to be on the bus for 2 hours a day. And so, yeah, what other solutions could there be for this situation? I guess that's what I'm asking you guys to think about. It's not developmentally appropriate, if you want to look at it that way, to look at the back. He can't even see out the window. He's little. So looking at the back of a green bus seat for 2 hours a day is not stimulating. Time-wise, that's going to totally mess up his napping and sleeping schedule to get him up so early to catch the bus. And then his eating schedule, he's not built to go, he won't get home till after 1 o'clock probably. They get out at 12. Logistically, it doesn't work with the kid's life. So, and I know when you made these decisions, you're looking at budget and all of these things, and I just want you to look at it from the perspective of a 3-year-old kid. You can't talk. He can walk. We're really glad about that. But just all the services being consolidated has just led to a siloing where it's not so flexible and accessible across town. And I know there's schools all over the city, and I think there's got to be some way to have some services available on this end of town for a kid who's, I don't know, 3. So anyhow, I just wanted to put that before you. And I know I've been having starting to have some conversations with Teresita Long about this. Hopefully she can, I haven't met her yet, but just been emailing with her. Be flexible and creative, I don't know. You guys know her, I don't know her, but
you can meet us. You can meet us
right now. I'm gonna meet with her tomorrow morning. There you go. This is my concern. This is my perspective. This is my lovely little boy. My older daughter is also going to be riding the bus to Blandford, but she's 11. She can communicate. She can talk. We've chosen to send her to Blandford, so I feel like.
Ms. Ippel, I hate to cut you off.
Am I at my 3
time has
minutes?
been up for a
Okay.
while, but thank you.
Yeah. So, but for Jeremiah, there's just no choices. So then we're stuck with the bus ride. Anyhow, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's comments.
No comment.
Reverend Matias,
No comments.
Mr. LeGrand.
Looks like the Mars Hill mentor person is gone, but I think it's worth us all noting that, our society values novelty, and we're often trying to reinvent programs, and it's nice to see an organization that's stuck with us
Continuity.
for a decade.
That's right, David.
And obviously doing all the things that we would hope that they would do, and so it was great to get the report out from them.
That's right.
I was glad to hear.
Dr. Randalls?
No comment.
Mr. O'Connor? Ms. Slade? Pastor Moody?
Hey, I think we ought to give the City High, the Odyssey of Mind, another round of applause. I hope they win.
Mm-hmm.
They've been great.
Dr. Baker?
No comment?
Mr. Ross?
No, ma'am, no comment.
We have all those resolutions in our packet and this is volunteer appreciation, so thinking of the Mars Hill and all of the many, many volunteers that are in our schools every day. I just want to send a personal thank you. So, meeting adjourned.